Hey, Mike with Row Pest Control here. And do you have snakes in your yard, or maybe are you looking for an effective way to get rid of snakes? Well, today's video I'm going to cover the top 4 myths of snake control and what you can actually do to get rid of snakes, so stay tuned. Now, most people don't want snakes in their yard, in their home. You know, a select few maybe have them as pets, and that's great, but for the majority of people, they don't want snakes in their home or around their yard. And so there's a lot of different myths going around out there that can actually even attract snakes into your yard and cause more problems than they're supposedly supposed to prevent. So again, understanding these top 4 myths is essential to get rid of snakes and keep your home snake-free. So the first major myth that you hear about a lot is that a well-groomed yard is going to keep snakes out. Now, certainly having a well-groomed yard could maybe help reduce other pest activity in your yard, but at the same time, well-groomed things like effective landscaping, mulch, different rocks and different things like that around your yard that might look nice on the outside can still harbor a lot of pests. So again, in reality, that doesn't necessarily mean that it gets rid of snakes in your yard. In fact, it can make it a little bit easier for them to get around if your yard is very well kept. And so, snakes feed on a lot of different prey, from earthworms to insects to small lizards, frogs and toads, and even rodents. So again, there's a lot of options for them to eat. And so just because your yard looks nice doesn't mean that those other pests aren't still hiding around your yard. So having a perfectly groomed yard isn't necessarily a deterrent and effective way of snake control in your yard. Really, from that standpoint, one of the only ways that you can upkeep your yard to actually keep snakes out is going to be installing fences. And those actually have to be very deep in the ground, usually at least around a foot deep. And then also they can't be like those mesh fences or anything like that. They need to be solid fences around your yard as well. And again, obviously, this isn't the most practical thing to install. It can be very expensive, but it is one of the sure ways to keep snakes out of your yard. But even that, sometimes they can burrow underneath the fences, climb over that, depending on what type of shrubbery or bushes might be around the fences as well. So again, even with that, it's not a 100% proof plan to keep snakes out of your yard. And then obviously with your home, you want to seal those entry points, seal cracks and crevices, exclusion, focus on that to keep snakes out of your home as well as an effective part of snake control. Now, another common myth number 2, is that you can poison rodents and have them be poisoned in your yards and snakes will eat them, and then those snakes are going to die because they are eating poisonous rats. Unfortunately, this one isn't true either. Myth busted, right? They actually did studies where they fed rats that had been poisoned to snakes to see if that it would transfer over to the snakes, and it didn't kill any snakes. So again, they did studies where this was found to be false as well. On top of that, snakes are carnivores, right? So they eat these pests, that poisoned or not, in your yard. And in fact, most people that keep snakes as pets actually feed them dead animals versus live animals. So again, whether the pests are dead from the poison when you killed them, or again, if they are alive in your yard, doesn't really matter to the snakes. And especially if you're baiting the area to try and trap or again poison rodents, things like that in your yard, that could actually attract more rodents to your yard trying to feed off of that bait. And then again, if there's more rodents in your yard, that's going to attract more snakes to your yard. So it kind of can create the opposite effect of attracting more snakes to your yard because there's more ample food sources for them to chow down on. So again, you might want to avoid doing that if that's your goal of getting rid of snakes in your yard. On top of that, another common myth number 3, is that you can just kind of spray and pray, right? Spray pesticides all over your yard, kind of kill everything that's there, and then that's going to keep snakes out. Well, again, it's the same idea that it's not the right treatment for the right pests. So if you're not using the right treatments for these specific kinds of snakes, it could do either nothing, or again, it could just kill all the other pests in your yard, which is certainly good to reduce that pest activity. But at the same time, if there's a bunch of dead pests all around your yard, it's just an easy feeding source for these snakes. So inadvertently, it could actually attract more of these snakes to your yard rather than getting rid of them. So the spray and pray method doesn't really work, so you need to find a different means of snake control beyond that. The fourth idea is that repellents work all the time, or every kind of repellent is going to work to get rid of snakes. Now, in proper use, certain kinds of repellent can work, but there's a lot of goofy things out there that have crazy claims that don't really work whatsoever. So you might hear things of like noisemakers or ultrasonic sound devices that repel snakes, and those just aren't true. Those don't work. They were actually deemed fraudulent by the FTC. So if you ever run into products like that, or companies that use products like that, or services like that, definitely run as fast as you can, because those do not work to get rid of snakes and are not an effective form of snake control. At the same time, there's other methods that people claim by, using sulfur or mothballs or other really foul smelling things. And the thing is that snakes don't smell like us humans smell, right? So something that might seem terrible to us that would keep you out of your own yard doesn't necessarily work for snakes. And so again, you need to have the specific repellent for specific kinds of snakes, and it needs to be applied in the right way, because again, if you do it the wrong way, it's either going to not do anything, or you could actually have it backfire and it could actually keep snakes in your yard, right? So the ones that are already there, now that you've created the barrier of that repellent or that product around your yard, could actually end up trapping them inside your yard versus making them flee your yard. So again, you definitely want to reach out to a trained pest control professional like us at Rove Pest Control to help get rid of these snakes if they are in your yard, because typically you're going to need to trap them or install fences, or again, just have the proper repellent, proper products in place to actually get rid of these snakes. And if you do it wrong or spray the wrong thing, it could end up actually attracting and keeping snakes in your yard, the exact opposite of what you want to happen. So again, hopefully you got some benefit and value out of this video. If you did, feel free to comment and share, and subscribe to our channel as well to get the latest pest control tips and tricks to keep your home pest free. And then also, if you happen to be a first-time customer with us, head on over to rovepestcontrol.com to have us help out with any pest control issues you might have. And then as that first-time customer, you could also go to rovepestcontrol.com/50 off and enter your information there to get $50 off your first service with us. So again, for any pest control related needs, head to rovepestcontrol.com. And once again, to get that great discount as a first-time customer, you can go to rovepestcontrol.com/50 off. But once again, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you more soon.